Welcome to the ROI Blueprint Mexico edition, brought to you by Kodak Capital. In this series, we explore the boldest minds, the most disruptive ideas, and the innovative strategies shaping the future of business and lifestyle in Mexico. Today's guest is Todd Fitch, a seasoned entrepreneur and investor with deep expertise in scaling and exiting businesses across multiple industries, including security, marketing, renewable energy, healthcare, and of course, real estate. Over the past 2 decades, he has launched and led multiple high growth ventures to successful acquisitions driven by a passion for innovation and impact. Todd's recent focus includes advising and investing in clean energy, healthcare, and luxury real estate development in Mexico, and education focused wellness initiatives. Todd thrives on building purposeful ventures and supporting founders through growth, transformation, and strategic exits. In this episode, we'll explore not just strategies and numbers, but also the mindset, the vision, and the purpose behind building companies that truly make a difference. Stay tuned, because this conversation may just change the way you see the opportunity, investment, and the future of living in Mexico. Todd, it's a pleasure to have you here today with us. I know you've been investing for a few years now. What would you say is the first thing that attracted you to the Latin America's real estate market?
Diversity. I think that what I like about that is, first and foremost, I live in Texas, and so it's easy. My family we've been vacationing and spending a lot of time in Mexico, and I lived actually in Venezuela for a few years.
Okay.
Yeah. So I've always had an appreciation for the Latin culture, and I've always loved going to Mexico. And so I figured that it was about time that we got a place of our own. And so that's really what attracted me in the beginning. And I had a friend who actually forwarded me, I think it was Facebook, but he forwarded me a page that was the AMARI page.
Okay.
And I instantly fell in love with the build and the design and the vibe. And I've got a big family, so I wanted that 4-bedroom. And so that's kind of initially what drew me to AMARI in Latin America.
Love it. No, that's wonderful. I'm a big traveler too. I haven't been to Venezuela yet, but how would you say the market is different based on your experience between investing in US or North America and Latin America? What are some of the trends that you've seen so far?
Yeah, it's a great question. I think that just more, I think that Latin America is going to come, we're going to see a real explosion. I know we saw a little bump, but I think that's going to get more and more popular over the next decade or so, just simply based on ease and convenience of getting to Latin America. I think that Latin America offers, a lifestyle, a vibe, something that for me, at least, I love the culture. And I think that that's really attractive, that pace of life, the speed, just in which people can relax and enjoy that pace of life and that vibe. So again, you asked me what the differences are. I don't know, there's a bunch of differences, right? Like ROI differences, cost differences. We could dive into any of those, but really, I think for me, it's just diversity of portfolio and diversity of a vibe. Really attracted to that kind of a vibe.
What would you say surprised you thus far about how people do business in Latin America versus North America?
The speed. I mean, look, we've got to be transparent. There's a speed difference in North America. We move, which I will say, though, I think gives AMARI a leg up on some of those things with American developers and American mindset, and and taking that to Latin America. I think that's really cool. But just the speed in which life happens is a little bit different, and so you've got to get accustomed to that a little bit. But I think for a lot of people, that's the plus of it too, is that everything slows down a little and it becomes a lot more manageable. And, life in North America is so fast paced and moves so quickly, and so I think that's one of the plus side.
Yeah, no, I completely agree. It's working in tech in US is very different now that I'm a part of the AMARI team. It's, we definitely focus on, the life and work balance as well, but also very focused on the mission that we have at hand. And I think AMARI is a perfect example of how Latin America does business for sure. Um, what what are some of the trends that you're seeing when it comes to the investment between different regions? I'm sure you have a wide portfolio, whether it's between US or Latin America or anywhere else, maybe perhaps in Europe. What are some of the trends are you seeing as far as the ROI or how you're evaluating the regions that you're going to invest in?
That's a good question. That's a there's going to be a blended answer on that question, G, and that is because like at this stage of my life, I'm really only interested in investing in places that I want to be at and visit and spend time at. And
Mhm.
so like, yeah, ROI is super important. ROI across the board is just depending on where I'll give you an example is I've got projects in Montana in North
Mm,
America, right? Really right around Yellowstone, the national park.
love it.
And I did that specifically because I love the national park. I love it. And so if I compare that ROI to what I see down in AMARI or down in Tulum, it's really pretty similar.
Really?
But I
Okay.
but both places I'm really interested in spending time.
Of
And
course.
so, I've abandoned the concepts. And again, this could just be myself as I'm getting a little older and my kids or my family's getting a little bigger and kids are getting older. I'm just not interested in ROI based investments. And that's silly, but I want there to be a love and a culture there and something that's beyond just the money for me. It's beyond just, it's the people, it's
Mhm.
dealing with you guys. And so it's got to be something beyond just the money. If we're just ROI interested in looking at just what's going to give us the best returns, then and there are those humans out there, and I think that's great. I do believe that Latin America has returns that will match as good or any, that you'll be able to find. But I've got to marry that with where I want to go and people I want to spend time with, and that's really important for me.
Absolutely. No, I completely agree. I think having meaningful investments are really important because ROI is always there, but what happens with as your family expands or continues to
Yeah.
grow and having those vacation areas or being able to also rent it out, I think is really important. So yeah, no, I completely agree with you.
And again, like it's a good ROI. It's
Mhm.
great. What we're able to see, what we're seeing. And again, I don't have a vested interest. Like you know what I mean? I'm not on the AMARI cap table. I'm not, I'm interested from like an investor standpoint that a traditional just, yeah, I own this unit. We're seeing great returns on it.
Mhm.
And so it's the best of both worlds for me. I'm interested in where we can visit, where we can come for a month, work, relax, enjoy, be a part of a community and a culture, and then leave and still get an ROI and still get
Yeah.
a really healthy return on money. And so that's really important to me.
Absolutely. Definitely agree. Let's talk a little bit about kind of the trends that you're seeing and how, from your perspective, or maybe some of the individuals in your network, what are the broader trends that you see shaping up the future of investing in Latin America specifically, both from, opportunities and the challenges perspective?
Yeah, I think there's going to be a lot of money that's going to come to Latin America. A lot of money is coming to Latin
Mm.
America. And you speak to the challenges, really some of the hurdles initially, especially for North Americans, is getting over the border,
Mm,
investing, being comfortable investing, and how is my money protected south of the border? How am I, where are my securities? And so I think that's going to be just a mental hurdle
mhm.
for some investors. And once you understand how to get around that, or you feel comfortable, and I think getting comfortable, not only obviously legally protecting and legally being secured, but with as much as who you're doing business with. You know
Of
what I'm
course.
saying? And so I think, to your point, though, the trends are um, more and more money is going to be coming to. You're already seeing it. You're already seeing Canadians. A lot more people in the U.S. I've got a lot of friends in my communities here in Texas that are well aware of the returns that are being made in Latin America. I've got family members that own homes in Cabo and in Playa, and so like the secret's out. It's not as if it's a super well kept secret anymore. It's
Sure.
just a matter of, I think, getting past that initial hurdle of people feeling comfortable of buying south of the border, because right now you can still get a lot for your money, and that's very attractive to investors. And so that's some of the trends that you're seeing. People want that return, but they also want that vacation house. That's important to people. This work, play, pleasure, this family life, like that balance is really important. So you talk about trends, like a lot of investors are investing as much with their heart as they are with their pocketbook, right? Is they want that balance of, where can I go and fall in love with a community and fall in love with a vibe?
Of course.
And then where can I leave and still make money on it?
Yeah, no, I agree. For someone, you mentioned the hurdles, which I think is really important. I think for someone like me, and there's plenty of individuals in our audience, I'm sure, what is that kind of the mental hurdle to overcome? Like someone who is cautious because it is a different country, business is done differently there. I know a lot of it is building the rapport, building trust with people you do business with, but at least in your experience, what has helped you overcome that kind of,
But that's it. And to the audience that's listening, you've got investors that bet on jockeys and investors that bet on horses. You know what I'm saying? I'm a jockey investor. I
Okay.
need to have a real bond and a vibe with the people I do business with. And so what helps me overcome the hurdles is who I'm doing business with.
Of course.
And then so you start talking about the Akils and the Alexes and you, and like those are the first things that are important to me. And I think that in establishing, in overcoming some of the hurdles, like that's the first thing is who are you doing business with? I don't think I can overstate that enough. For me, is I'm a jockey investor. I've got to have a vibe with the person I'm doing. I've got to trust them. I've got to see how they operate under pressure. I've got to see how they make somebody whole when things don't go their way. I've got to see how they allocate I need to know the person I'm doing business with. And that's especially in Latin America. And that's the first step for me to know if I'm comfortable or not putting money down there. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, for sure. No, absolutely. Have you done, when you do a business, right? I completely get that human interaction and human connection. What else do you think is important, or what else would you recommend to the audience that wants to invest? Like what kind of due diligence would you recommend an individual performs before investing in a property in Latin America?
Well, what I've learned is it's difficult. You've got a lot of builders and developers down there that sell what I call concepts. And so it's like, you've got all this money that's coming into, let's just take Tulum, for example. You've got money that's coming into Tulum, and these developers that are trying to sell concepts. What I would recommend is, there's a difference between a developer that can put together a really cool deck and a really cool architectural piece, and a developer that can actually execute and build. And so there's a big difference there. And so one of the first things that I would tell someone to look at is, can the person you're doing business with, can they actually build what they're saying they can? Can they actually put a shovel in the ground, right? And so you've got all these billboards everywhere and these decks everywhere of people that are, raising money, selling concepts. I want to know if a builder can execute the game plan. I want to know if a builder can actually build it, right? Number one, can they build it? Number one, do I like the human I'm doing business with? Do I trust the human I'm doing business with? Number two, are they competent, and can they build? Can they actually put a shovel in the ground and build something? And then number three, what are they building? What's the quality of the work? And so, because there's a lot of variables there, right? You're going to be able to spot it. Are they using, cheap materials? Are they just trying to capitalize on, selling something for as much as they possibly can and putting kind of a not so great product out? And so really for me, it's the due diligence piece that you're talking about, is come put boots on the ground, come see their, what have they built? What have they done? What have they put their name on that you can touch and feel and see? And so I think those things are super important to me.
Absolutely. No, you touched base on a really important aspect, which is, the quality, the timeliness, having that strategy, not just something that a builder is presenting, but having, specific examples. Have you
Yeah,
ever,
I call them whiteboard heroes.
there you go.
Is you've got all these people out there that are whiteboard heroes. Everybody can put an amazing game plan together on the whiteboard and create a deck and hire an agency to make it look good, but can they execute the plan? I want to do business with someone that's got a proven track record that
Mhm,
they can execute. I
mhm,
thought I need to like them and trust them, but can
mhm.
you execute with my money?
For sure. What is the timeline that you give the builder, or let's say, you've obviously invested in AMARI, but let's say there's a new project in town, whether it's Tulum or somewhere else in Latin America. What is the timeline? Like how long had they had to have proven their existence and built out a development in order for you to trust it? Like obviously there
Yeah,
has to be like a data backed up, strategy and delivery, but is there, is a timeline important?
yeah, a timeline is important, sure. A timeline is not as important to me depending on what phase, right? Because there's variables to the question. The
Mhm.
question is a timeline important? Yeah, but if I'm putting money on something today and I'm in a phase 2 or a phase 3 of a project,
Sure.
okay, I've got to be a little loose on that timeline, right?
Yeah. Mhm.
More important to me is I want to see a whole project to have come together. And
Yes.
so I want to see you bring up AMARI. Let's take AMARI for example. I want to see that we've executed a phase 1, a phase 2, and a phase 3. Like
Mhm.
we've gotten all the way through a full project. We haven't built a home. We
Mhm.
haven't built a phase 1, but we've made it through 46 homes, right? And so that's the track record that you're talking about.
Mhm.
Again, and I know this is um, maybe the audience is an AMARI blend of humans. I'm AMARI bullish because I've seen it from concept
Mhm.
to amenity center to phase 1, phase 2, and now finalizing phase 3 shortly, right? And like, okay, that's a track record of somebody that can take concept to execution, right?
Mhm.
That's what you look for.
Absolutely. Has there ever been a time that, things were going well with your investment and then there was either a tipping point or a red flag or something that occurred that made you question the decision, whether you made the decision or you've invested and then the builder did not deliver on things that they promised?
Is this specific to AMARI or is this just in
Just
general?
in general, and it could be, I'm mostly curious if it happened in Latin America and kind of how that unraveled. Um,
Okay, let's go back to jockeys and horses. Jockeys and horses, because this matters. This matters. I'll give you a little history lesson on AMARI just real quick. So, you know, a friend of mine, we had bought, a couple units in AMARI in Uptown. And this was right around the time where so we had put some money in, we were finishing out I think we were one of the first couple homes in phase 2.
okay.
And so that was coming to an end of that project. We were about to take that project. We had just announced Cosmos, and then Eric passes away.
Mm.
And so to give real life to this story of like, was there a time? This is real life with AMARI.
Mhm.
Is I took that call that, hey, your project's almost done. I had just put a down payment into Cosmos
Mhm.
because I was interested in having a place over at Cosmos.
Mhm.
And now Eric passes away. And so I'm thinking to myself, oh no, like money in Latin America,
Mhm.
no projects have been delivered. I'm nervous, right? Um, and then I gotta say, I don't mean to sound like that guy, but then I met Akil, and I
Mhm.
felt significantly better about the long term of my money and the long term of my investments. And so I go back to jockeys and horses. If
Yep.
I was just a horse investor, I would have been nervous, but I ride a jockey. I felt very comfortable that my
Mhm.
money was situated properly with Akil, even with Eric's untimely passing, and like that could have thrown a whole project off. That could have thrown a whole company off. I appreciated Akil's leadership, stepping in and, stabilizing the situation, making investors feel good about their investment still, sharing vision that we still know where we're going with this thing. And so I felt a lot better with knowing that Akil was at the helm.
Of course. Yeah.
Did that answer your question on that?
Yeah, it did. Thank you so much, Todd. It's super insightful. So we talked a little bit about people. We've talked about, just the differences between investing in different regions. Beyond location, what are the hidden factors that you've learned to pay attention to when evaluating deals? I know that, having a good reputation, but is there something that our audience should think of beyond that for investing?
Yeah. Super good question. Really good question. And I think it goes beyond, we've kind of talked about quality of build and those things. And let's just say all things are considered equal in that world, which they're not, but those things should be considered. I learned early on, I had purchased a grip of homes in one of the states up in North America. Okay. And I had an incredible management company until I didn't. And the returns that I saw for the first couple of years while I had a really great management company versus when that management company fell apart, unfortunately, and some variables that couldn't have been controlled. And then an incoming management company, I could never duplicate the success of a good management company. I could never duplicate the success of a good management. I had to fire sell those homes. I ended up taking a loss on some of them because of how bad, and I attempt after attempt, I couldn't duplicate a good management company. And obviously I don't live in that state. And so I personally couldn't take it on. I had to fire sell those. So beyond just the quality of work, beyond those things, management company matters. That matters a lot. So if I'm advising, I want to know who my short term is, whose hands am I putting this in? I want to meet those humans. I want to see those humans. I want to look those humans in the eye. I want to see the returns. Like that matters. Quality of build, location, all of those things, of course, matter. But you cannot have a poor management company and expect to make a good return especially on a vacation home in Latin America where I'm not hands-on every day. I've got to trust the short-term company that they've got my best interest. And so I can't stress that enough, that management matters. You've got to have the right companies in place.
Absolutely. No, I completely agree. And I totally agree with you with the whole, shaking hands, locking eyes, seeing that person in person before you do the business with them. I actually have heard that multiple times recently, especially from investors or people we do business with. So
I'll tell you this, let me go a step further. So I've got this, it's kind of a hotel up in Yellowstone in Montana in the States. And for the first couple of years, we did okay. And I thought, I was led to believe we had one of the better property managers in town. We thought we had done a proper amount of vetting, and again, we don't live in that area, and so we rely on management companies to take that over. And it kind of came to a head, and we parted ways. And I was really nervous because I thought I had the best in town. I was told we had the best. How could you possibly, switch companies? And I just wasn't satisfied. And we found this gal that ran a small little operation, and she was really confident in herself, and I loved her vibe, and I loved what she brought and her communication style with me. And so we gave her a shot to manage this property, and she has blown us away with how she has performed over the last couple of years, night and day different. And so I can't tell you enough, like, yes, location matters. Yes, property. But take for example, we're one of probably 300 hotels in this little city, right? Because all they are is a touristy city. They're very transactional, right? And so we're one of 300 hotels there. So what's the difference? Sure, quality of build, or sure, location, but it's all the same. What matters was the management company. She did things that others didn't. She went above and beyond. She put little trinkets and little goodies and it made all of a sudden we're getting 5-star reviews. All of a sudden we're trending. All of a sudden it mattered. Management companies matter. So I can't stress that enough, that is by quality of build, all those things, that is right up there with the thing to consider is if you're going to invest in Latin America, you've got to make sure that you have the right team in place.
Absolutely. So it sounds like experience is very important, and she was able to really turn around that experience
Yeah.
for the individuals and for you as well. What else was she doing? Like, was she putting together quarterly reports or monthly, analysis based on performance? Okay. Can you tell me a little bit more about that?
Yeah. Here's what I love about it. And this is what I love the most about it is all I got to do is open up my reports and read them. So to your point, she keeps us informed and I don't have to go ask for it. So she keeps us informed in monthly reports. She keeps us informed on what our occupancy rates are. She keeps me informed on what the market is doing by way of nightly, like stuff I don't want to go track down. I don't want to go do that. I hired her so I wouldn't have to do any of that. And so communication matters. And then the way that we converted the property to a seamless check-in with screens and where I used to have to employ a concierge service, or not necessarily a concierge service, but somebody at the front desk to check people in. And I don't need to do that anymore. And so her converting the property into kind of some ideas that were, especially for that part of the country, like a little bit ahead of her time. And so she was a little bit of a forward thinker and, again, finding out ahead of time who's coming and children are coming, leaving toys or crayon and color, like just the little things mattered. Stuff that cost you a couple bucks at a dollar store made an incredible difference in their experience, which is why we're seeing a ton of repeat business. We're seeing a ton of, positive reviews and stuff that's trending. Very similar to what you guys are doing down at AMARI. Like it's a really similar approach, which is why AMARI outperforms the other hotels and the other villas in the area.
Absolutely. No, I completely agree. And it sounds like it takes a lot of patience to manage these type of deals and investments. Do you think some of the investors overestimate or underestimate how much patience and focus it takes that's needed in emerging markets in general?
Probably. It really depends on what an expectation is going into it. You know what I mean? Like, but again, the variables are like, if I'm a part of a phase one, then I've obviously got to allow for, history to build and a brand to be built, right? If I'm part of phase three, then maybe I've got a different expectation than if I was a part of phase one, because now we've seen a little bit of a history of what's been able to be rented out. We've got a better expectation of what a nightly will go for, stuff like that, right? And so, but again, I think just creating a proper expectation, sitting, which is why I suggest sitting with the property management company, sitting with build. Like if you have a proper expectation, then it's and a partner in a short term or the builder that can execute that expectation that was created, then you shouldn't have this over expectation, frustration because I expected more. And you shouldn't have this, I'm frustrated because you know what I'm saying? Like you should have a proper expectation.
Yeah. Open lines of communication, proper expectation. Absolutely.
Exactly right.
Yeah. And sounds like proactivity is also very important too. And so that's wonderful. Let's shift back or kind of look back and reflect to maybe the initial time, that you've invested, whether it was in Latin America or in general. Was there something that you wish you knew before you started investing? Because I'm sure there's a lot of individuals that are watching this podcast right now that are either just getting started or maybe started investing, but not sure what to kind of do first or evaluate. Based on your experience and maybe some of the lessons you've learned, what would your big advice would be on that?
Oh, dude, it's a great question. Great. Really two pieces, and they go kind of together. Number one is time. Give things time to move your direction. You know what I mean? Every single investment that I ever made where I thought it was a quick buck, a quick flip, I'll be in and out of this, it never goes the way that I wanted it to go. But every single time that I go into something with a proper expectation, we're going to give this time to bake. We're going to give it time to move. we're going to give, say it's a property, we're going to give the property management company time to make these adjustments, time to watch the market, time, like those are where I do my best deals. And then in kind of parallel with that is singles and doubles are exactly what you want.
Okay.
Every time you go into it thinking you're about to hit a home run, you're going to fall flat on your face. Like every investment that I'm like, bro, this is a home run. This is a home run. I get nervous anymore when somebody says a home run. I get nervous when they're like, oh, it's a home run. I'm like, I don't want home runs anymore.
Yeah.
I want singles and doubles. Singles and doubles win games. I know I'm using these baseball analogies, but you understand. like good, safe investments. Give me an 8 to 14, 15% return. Give me those. I'll take singles all day long. I can build a really happy family and a happy retirement on singles and doubles. I get really nervous on home runs. Everybody, when they oversell an investment or it's a no-brainer, you can't lose. No, those are the ones I lose on the most. And so it's like, I want safety. I want a team that can do what they say they're going to do. I don't need the triple digit returns. I don't need the crazy. I just want good humans I can trust and good investments that I can believe in.
That sounds like a great advice. And I'm glad that I'm interviewing you out of all the people, because I'm not a very patient person. So if I was to start investing, I'd probably rush a little bit. So it's great. It's a great.
I'm telling you, I have a PhD in losses. I'm telling you, I have a PhD in losses because I was impatient, or I didn't do the right due diligence, or I didn't ask the right questions. And so I get it. I'm telling you, at this phase, it's patience. Let things bake. Let them go the right direction. Make good, sound decisions on the front side, like we've talked about, right? Vet your investments properly, especially we're talking about real estate in Latin America. Vet those properly. Vet your management company. Vet the builder. Make sure they can do what they say they're going to do, and then give things time to bake. Let it bake.
Yeah, no, it's great. That's a great long-term strategy for sure. Well, thank you so much, Todd. It's been extremely insightful. Really enjoyed your time and our conversation. I think audience will find this very helpful and insightful too. As we wrap up, what are some of the other things that you would say maybe people should keep at top of mind as they're venturing to investing first, or especially in Latin America? Is there anything that we haven't touched base on that you'd like to maybe highlight for us?
No, the only thing is that I wish I owned more in Latin America. I think the trend is headed, so fast and so fierce that direction. I really do. I'm in so many circles in the US. So many friends are looking for homes or secondary homes in Latin America. I really, my regret is that I don't have more down there to do. You know what I mean? My regret is that I don't have more already. I think that it's going to be an amazingly massive emerging market. I think it already is. I only think the next decade is going to really put Latin America in the forefront of people's investing, specifically real estate portfolios. I think it's going to be great.
I love it. Well, thank you so much for your time today, Todd. For our audience or anyone who would like to maybe reach out to pick your brain, or maybe have you be their mentor, how can they reach you? Is it through Instagram or LinkedIn?
Yeah, either or. I think on Instagram, I think it's I am Todd Fitch. I don't even know, to be honest with you. I just post family stuff. I'm not a guru. I'm not that guy. I just, I love businesses. I love investing.
Yes.
People have hobbies. My hobbies are building businesses. That's what
Amazing.
I love. I love doing that. And I don't know. You hit me here. You'll post something so people can.
Yes, there you go.
Whatever you do, tag me. I don't know how that will work.
Fantastic. We can do that. Well, thank you so much for your time. Enjoy the rest of your day.
Yeah, appreciate you.
Thank you.
All right.
Thanks for tuning in to the ROI Blueprint Mexico edition by Kodak Capital. Don't forget to like, subscribe, share, and tell us who you would want to hear from next. And follow us on Instagram at ROI Blueprint. More visionary voices from Mexico coming soon. See you there.